welcome. Right over here. Bonjour.
Ah.
Yes, my French accent is getting better the longer I stay. My German, not so much.
Yeah.
That's okay. Well, thank you both for being here. Why don't we start off by introducing yourselves, who you are, your responsibilities at Wüsthof.
Okay. Hartmut, do you want to start? I will start. Bonjour, Sarah. Bonjour, everybody else in the room. I hope you don't get too bored now with Wüsthof. It's a very ancient tool, and we're here in the very modern tool. And I can say that I'm in charge of the marketing, the global marketing, EVP, brand and creative, and this implies as well product management and innovation.
Yeah. So. And yeah, I'm Bjorn, as you already know. And my job is the service owners, as we say, of the Wüsthof single point of truth. So our Akeneo system, as well as the Tessa DAM system. So I'm the service owner, so I'm taking control on that the systems both are running as Wüsthof needs them, and as well to consult to find out new ways for new content, what's needed. So because all markets are developing and we need to find new attributes to come up with.
So Hartmut, you have some of the demands, and Bjorn, you find ways to execute on those. Am I hearing that correctly?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And as well, there's creative solutions for this. Yeah.
True. Excellent. Awesome. Well, you said, you're maybe not that modern of a tool, but we have a pretty quick video that makes me think you're pretty cool when I came across it on your social media. Let's watch that before we dive into the content today. Wow. It's pretty cool. And so for a 200-year-old brand, that video is seeming pretty cool. Hartmut, tell us more about Wüsthof, the brand, how you got started.
How much time do you have, Sarah? I mean, 207 years now, you put me on the spot in 2 sentences is very difficult. But basically, this is where it all started 207 years ago. And it's still a free Wi-Fi zone if you visit us there. So these places are getting very rare now, but it's very enjoyable there. And you can learn there how to build a knife, basically, which is an ancient craftsman tradition, one of the oldest one, and as well how to sharpen and keep your knife sharpened. And what happened then after 202 years is that we were so much focused on producing, so basically we are a factory. We discovered there as well consumers and buyers out there, which we never had in our scope. So basically we produce knives and send them to our distributors, and the distributors to the shops and retailers. So we didn't care about DTC at all. There was 202 years no marketing at Wüsthof.
Wow. What drove that shift for you?
Corona came a little bit later, so it would be an easy excuse to say when all shops are closed, we had to go digital. But the owners of the company, Harald and Viola Wüsthof, they had the vision of Project 8. This is basically a company vision. It means we are in the 7th generation and we want to make everything ready that we still survive as a family company in the next century. So everything ready for Generation 8. Generation 8 is there. They are young. They have no idea properly that they probably have to take over one day, at least one of them. Therefore, it's very important that we said this has 3 basic columns. The first one is digitalization. This was not existing as well. So we were only digitalized. We have probably the most modern and best factory, but not in terms of sales and marketing. The next one was premiumization. We definitely sold under our value. If you imagine, yes, you have seen machines, but to produce a classic knife, it needs 57 single steps plus 22 quality steps. So this is something people have to keep in mind. And the next part, which is very important, is empowerment of the people, because they never were used to work agile. I mean, they have no idea. It didn't exist in their mindset. They had no idea of KPIs. This was strange. And so basically it all had to be a big change management, as you would probably call it now. In this transition, we are still.
Wow. So after 200 years of manufacturing and distributing your knives as pretty much a family, kind of smaller business, you embraced modernity and shifted your business to start selling on D2C on lots of different sites.
Yeah.
Wow. And you also embraced that, Jordan, you were telling me, in the production of the knives. Could you tell us a bit more about that too?
Yes. So as I'm 23 years now at Wüsthof, so which is a very long time to be at one company, I have been in the different stages of the development of the company, and I think we're now on the right way to be future-proof. And yeah, so I think now with collecting the data in the digital single point of truth, as I said in the beginning, we made the first good steps to be future-proof in the Omnichannel, and to work with that.
Okay.
Today.
5 years when I arrived, Björn was still in the sales team, so there was, as I told, no marketing team, and the 64-old guy who was running the website retired. So this was the status when I arrived at Wüsthof. And Björn did his photographs on his own with his own cameras for the PDP pages. So this was basically what happened 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've embraced modernity with Project 8, which is a company-wide project and revolution into digital activation.
I wouldn't call it project, because a project has a start and an end. So basically, it's something which is a little bit more. It's the vision of the company, which people have to keep in mind, that we want to have resources put into it, and that we change gears as well. So digitalization doesn't come by nature on its own. It's very funny, the experience I made. Everybody is doing their digital shopping at home, but nobody's doing it in the company. It's very strange. So, and Amazon, when I arrived, was the most evil partner you can work with. So this was only the traditional retail and cutlery shops, which were the only good ones. And as you can imagine, then with Corona, it came the pressure on everybody as well, on the retailers, because you have to go in omnichannel to survive properly in any brand business at the moment.
Excellent, absolutely. So, Arjun, when you joined the company, you kicked off some research to kind of better understand who is Wüsthof's customer. Could you share more about what that looked like?
Yeah. In the beginning, I mean, a knife looks very simple. It has a handle, maybe 3 rivets, and a blade. So basically, that's it. But if you look a little bit deeper and dig a little bit deeper, you see it must have a soul, because a chef cook is not taking his spoon or fork home. He's wrapping up his knife after his work and takes it home. So he must have a very close relationship. So hands up, even in this room, who knows which kind of brand he has in the drawer, knife brand? Who knows the knife brand? Not many. everybody knows the car you're driving, the espresso machine you have in the kitchen, but 80% of you have no idea what is in the drawer, what kind of knife you have. And this to reactivate, this is something to give it so that you, in the end, buy it like a fashion item and not just like a tool, a basic tool.
Wow.
And then the consumer you asked for, sorry, I didn't answer quite your question, is that we really try to look after basically in the needs of the consumer. So if you follow Maslow, everybody hopefully is familiar with the need pyramid, so you can see as well there is something like esteem or belonging. So if you have a look and think about if you take your knife home and cut, you have basically 3 prototypes or personas. You have something to discover because you want to cut for a new meal you have seen or a recipe from somewhere Asia or something like this, or you want to impress people. Look how I can cut, what a great tool I have. And the other one is as well a little bit to relax, because if you had a hard day's work, you come home, you take off your jacket, put on something casual, and you start to cut. And in this moment, you're focused. You can't use your iPhone or your iPad, otherwise you cut off your fingers. Only top chefs can do this, not probably all the food fans who are sitting here in this room.
So you joined the company spearheading marketing. They want to get a better understanding of who their buyers are. So you start looking at this needs hierarchy to start to understand who are the different types of shoppers. Were you able to then kind of categorize those into like a couple different groups?
Yeah, I mean, we have to see as well, if you're looking for these kind of knives, and we have different series, you have to have once a closer look at the target group, and there are price points definitely. So there's an entry level, there is something for advanced, there is something for collectors, and our most expensive knife at the moment is 1,000 euro, 1,000 a little bit on top, and we are working on 1,500. So this is then, of course, you have to add something special. We have seen it as well with the flip-flops, how it's going to do it with Swarovski stones. Maybe Swarovski stones wouldn't be now the solution for a knife, but you can do engraving and stuff like this. So you really have to have an idea about the persona and then see as well where they shop. Then you have to look at the customer journey and see where they are, because maybe they are not going to the traditional knife shop, especially the generation who's used to do online shopping is not going to do, but you have to provide the experience of each knife series.
Awesome. So you have some people at home and kind of one target segment, of course, the more kind of chefs that are going to be using, and then maybe even these kind of like novelty or higher priced collectible items.
And they probably need more service, somebody who's doing like cutting as a profession, as we call them, the food heroes. They need maybe one day a service like rent a knife, and you have it always sharp at your hand, just a week or something like this. It's not anymore something you have to earn, you have to buy and own, but you can do a rental model as well. And this is obviously then very good if you improve the services on this, because the challenge at the moment for us is if you have the best knives, and they're very sharp if you buy them in the beginning, how you keep them sharp. I mean, I'm not quite sure how many can do sharpening at home, and does the sharpening, and the service you had traditionally is dying out. So it's like you have a car and no electricity or no gas, and then the knives become dull. It's a little bit like jogging. If you have bad shoes, you hate the jogging, you don't do the sport. And this is the same with cooking. If you have a sharp knife and something which is long-lasting, you enjoy cooking suddenly.
Awesome. Super interesting. So we're talking about customer journey, we're talking about different types of customers, but the reality is Bjorn, you were still managing a lot of this. What did that process look like at that time? Were you still taking photos with your phone? How are you managing this?
Okay, so this developed with the marketing department, so we are having the team of the brand and creative. So we are now having more people in the team, and so we're having a photographer, so we're creating our own content in a white box so that we can do professional photographs of our products as as product charts, as well as in a content kitchen, which is showing the knives in the surrounding of a kitchen, in usage of a food hero, as we said. And so this is coming to PIM and the DAM system, so to Akileo and Tessa, and then we bring it together there to cover the story we like to tell outside. So, and here we have one big product info with all informations, and then we have the big challenge to find out which attributes we send to which channel. And yeah, that's the interesting part to find out.
So your customers are changing, you're identifying who they are, and then you're realizing that the information that you need to be able to provide, whether it's assets or just product information, is also expanding in need to be able to meet those expectations of those customers.
And it has to go over product attributes as well, because we want to give an experience and sell a world. I mean, to the different food fans we have, and that they have an engagement with the world and with the series. So, I mean, if you want to have sell it like fashion, we have seen it, you need color. So the next innovation for Wüsthof will be a color series.
Very cool, very cool. So let's talk, we've been talking about this and hinting at it, but when you sent me this customer journey, I was trying to find a better way to show it, but the reality is that your customer journey is relatively complex, right? So let's kind of break this down and actually just talk about some of the different ways that you try to meet this customer journey without spending too much time on this slide. So first and foremost, let's talk about before buying, because we're talking about omni-channel product experiences today. And omni-channel isn't just about, point of sale, it's about thinking about this consumer at every stage. So before buying, what are some of the tactics that you use to engage with some new customers?
I think I started this already in the intro. I think the biggest challenge at the moment before buying is brand awareness. I mean, you figured out this only is a category challenge, not only for Wüsthof at the moment. And for us, it's important because, it's a commodity product, obviously. So you have to stimulate before buying what the people can do. So you have to do something for gifting. Or, for example, everybody who married knows the ritual, what you're cutting there. You're cutting something. You have your wedding cake you cut. But nobody of you remember the knife you had in your hand. So if you do these kind of use cases and make it a little bit more prominent, so somebody is looking after the wedding rings, somebody else probably then the male is going to go for the knives, and you have a little personalization on it, then you have a piece of art and history which you can take through your whole life. And this is something where we have to start and remember in the beginning. Or another use case is, learn kids early enough to handle sharp knives. Have a Wüsthof Junior, and then and you can have fun. It's a community thing as well. And then you need a lot of assets, because kids have to be addressed completely different, with different recipes and everything, than adults or advanced food fans.
Wow, those are some creative ideas. I love it. It's really, really cool. And you've also done some cool stuff by trying to build awareness using engagement from influencers and chefs, some of them well-known French chefs. Can you tell us a little bit more about that aspect of before buying?
Yeah, for us it's important to have not the top star-rated chefs, because this is a little bit like the Michelin stars. Basically they're doing advertising for one brand during 1 week and then another week for somebody else. So for us, it's more important to have strong characters and personalities who really can tell a story and are loyal as well to the Wüsthof family and to the Wüsthof products. And therefore, it's a selection, it's a tough criteria as well. The influencer business often is used as a creator business nowadays, because a lot of influencers or food influencers even have no idea how to cut or to handle properly a knife. This is something you have to teach them as well. It's not something which happens automatically. It's like car driving. You have to learn it.
Yeah, it's not just you can hand a knife to a TikToker today and they'll start using it and look like a professional.
No. And definitely TikTok is not the target group. Yes, we are present, but basically they are too young. Basically your career, your knife career starts when you move out from home, because then your mother is not cutting anymore for you, and you can't use the knives anymore of your parents. So basically, then you have to start to get your own knives and set up your own customer journey in this culinary advent. And some people are interested and some are not, but food fans definitely are, and this is our target group who thinks food from scratch is more important than convenience food.
Wow, definitely. So let's shift gears a bit to while buying, because for your customers as they're buying, there's lots of different touch points. I mean, you said it yourselves, you went from just really thinking about kind of one channel, B2B distribution, to many different channels. So what are some of the routes to market or channels that you sell Wüsthof products on today?
So basically, globally, we have over 5,000 doors. This is our partner channels. I mean, we have to differentiate between our own channels, which are our shops in Canada, in the US, in Europe, and our flagship store in Solingen. So this is the city of blades. Whoever is popping by is happily invited, as well as the factory tour. And for us, it's important then as well to serve the same experience everywhere. We had this challenge already before. If you go then to Amazon, to the marketplaces, we have around 50 marketplaces at the moment, and there are more to come, because we want to go not only, if you imagine, for a knife, and with the ambition we want to have for the knife brand, is not only to be there where you have recipes or culinary things. We would like to go as well to the design area. So Pinterest is very important for us, to have some inspiration there for your kitchen, because it's a part. If you want to make knives again visible, you have to offer nice containers. I mean, most of the knife containers are ugly at the moment, and they are not fashionable, and they are not smart. I mean, integrate a lock for kids, for example, to protect them, or have recipes integrated, or iPads or something like this. That's all possible because it's part of the design in the kitchen.
Excellent, awesome. And so we said a lot of things. We're going to break that down quickly, but Bjorn, from your perspective, that's a lot of channels, that's a lot of locales, that's a lot of information and assets. How are you, what were some of the challenges that you faced to be able to answer some of those needs?
I think it's good to have in front of, we like to have a strategy to know where to go. So what's the goal, what we like to reach. And then in between, then it's bringing it down to the different attributes, to the categories, and what kind of categories do I need to take to send out to the different channels. I think that's the big challenge, to find out what is the same content, what can I use at several channels or at all channels, which is the basic data, as we have item length, item height or width. And then there are different aspects, but we have a text which is just only for the packaging, then it's just only for print exports, as example. Then this is just only for that channel.
And,
so, yeah.
And you're managing that print information inside Akineo, PIM?
Yeah, correct. So we are managing this all in Akineo to have all data at the single point of truth. So here, it's all the information about the product, and we decide what kind of information is going to which channel. Yeah.
Awesome. And do you have different teams within the organization or different people that are responsible for, I know you said there's kind of that basic level of information that is going to be carried over no matter where you're selling the product, but do you have different people or different teams responsible for some of those different channels?
Yeah, we do. So we're working together with the different departments. So as we are a production company, so we're having different departments which are taking care of the production process. And when we see the construction office in which the product is drawn in the beginning, for starting in the production process, they know a lot of details of technical details of the product. And though the construction office guys, they are giving the information into our ERP system, and this is sent over to Akeneo by an interface. So this is the start on basic data. And then enrichment is starting in the brand and creative team. So our product managers taking care of the additional data on text, so that the texts are texted. So they're giving an order to our texters, and they are texting the origin text in German or in English, and then it's entered to Akeneo and added there, and then the translation process is starting as well. So we're sending out the data to our translation service, and they are translating it into, nowadays, 7 different languages.
Wow. And how long does that process typically take?
It takes more than building a car. So you need 1.5 years, because forging is it's a very difficult process. And unfortunately, as well, I want to add, it was I had to tell my 2 owners as well, that unfortunately they thought we get more efficient and we don't need so much resources. And now getting so successful with this, we need more resources. I mean, we started, as I said, with 2 people in the marketing. We are now globally 30. Including UX designers and stuff like this. So this is something nobody expected, but it's the same like, I mean, my owner is an engineer, so as I said, we have a very professionalized production. So he invested in KUKA robots, in Triumph machines and whatever. They're all top-notch, basically, and we employed more people even. I mean, this is something not what is not, it's if you're successful, you have a scale effect that you need more resources in terms of money and as well in human people to work with this. It doesn't save resources.
But I imagine if we go back to what Anton and I were talking about, is it allows your people and those resources to be spent on the things that matter, right? Like the value-added tasks. Don't have them manually uploading assets from one system to another. Use that person to add strategic value. And you guys have grown so quickly over such a short amount of time. Of course, those resources, can you imagine what that would be like without a Kedio PIM at the center?
And what we did now reach after 5 years, I mean, it's the speed to market in the end as well. So as we have seen before, the classic color launch will be on the 3rd of April, and this will be globally on the same day. We never managed this before, so after 5 years, with all this asset management and automatization, we could speed up and had globally the same launch date. This was never possible before.
Wow. And where are you, so for that launch, of course you're launching on your own D2C globally. What other channels are you preparing to launch for?
So, yeah. First of all, we're preparing the launch in our B2B channels. So at our customers, that they will have the product in store and that they have also the information, product information from us. So we provide them with the assets from the Tessa MAM or DAM system. As well, we are going to Amazon as well with the product. So everything is prepared to launch it at Amazon. And yeah, then the retailer web shops will be prepared that they also have the information, as I said before. So this is how we're launching it.
Awesome.
Do I miss it? Miss something?
The launch kit and the print material and the POS material.
Yeah.
Wow. So I'm hearing you both mention marketplaces and Amazon in particular. As you know, we launched our activation for retail, which covers pretty much all Amazon globally. So talk to me though, because you have kind of higher consideration items, which I think at times people may steer a little bit clearer of marketplaces. Can you tell us more about your decision to start selling there, given that you have a high consideration and higher priced items?
With Amazon, for us, it's very easy because, I mean, if you come into the use case that you want to have a knife, you start either to Google or to Amazon. I mean, basically, these are the two things you do in terms to have the competitive reviews. You have the product reviews, you have the price indication, and the customer journey normally starts there. And, of course, the availability, because, I mean, you don't get knives at every corner store, so you have to look for it. I mean, in Paris, you have to go probably to Galeries Lafayette to buy Wüsthof knives at the moment, and maybe 4 or 5 other stores physically. So, and this is unfortunately in the world decreasing, so the availability is important, and therefore we use the information and the systems.
Yeah, I know I'm guilty of it. I love to research online and then say, okay, but where is the place I can pick it up 2 hours from now? So I think we're all guilty of it at times. So launching on marketplaces, launching on Amazon, what are some of the challenges that you face? Because different retailers, of course, have different requirements. How do you think about that in your Akinio PIM?
Yeah, we plan as well to have different portfolio strategies for different channels. So this requires as well in the backup. So we have limited editions, for example, only for our own channels, and we have special market entry knives we will probably foreseen for Amazon, because there you start your journey. And people who then improving are going then on our website. So there we can get as well collector's items, merchandising, and as we call it, the world of cutting solution. Whatever you need is with a knife as well as a proper storage, and you have to have something to keep it sharp. Otherwise, you lose the fun of the whole process.
Excellent, awesome. And from a data perspective to meeting those requirements, thinking about those portfolios, how do you think about solving that challenge with Akinio PIM?
So I think we will manage it by the categories, so that we come up with a different kind of worlds we are looking for, and then combine it with attributes which are also connecting the different kind of products. Or we use the associations, so we need to have a look. When we have the finished concept, then we looking for how to come up with it in real life in the PIM system. Yeah.
Awesome. And one of the concerns, I think, when you start to sell your products on lots of different channels is maintaining that brand, that feel, right? That feel that we all got from watching that video. So when you look at your product on all these different channels, is that a point of concern that you have?
Not a concern, because we still are in the process of, for example, the trident to be visible as the icon of the brand. So this has to be universal, and then there will be different stories and assets we can provide. But important is that we differentiate, because when I started, even the old logo was not digital usable. So we had to do a complete VID change to make it digital, basically, to use it, because what happened before, everything what we do helped our second brand in Solingen, Zwilling, to be recognizable, because they had a higher degree of awareness. So everything what we do, people said, oh, it's Zwilling. No, it's not Zwilling, it's Wüsthof. So you have to make your brand unique in a way in the digital space on all the assets, and we're still doing it, and you will probably see a lot of stuff with old logo. Hopefully not anymore in the digital arena, because it's much easier to change it and quicker. But this has to be unique, so you have to have, everywhere where you go, you have to have the same look and feel of the brand. This is the target. But again, it's not a project, it's continuous work.
Definitely, definitely. And in order to maintain that brand, are you using things like A+ content or enhanced content to make sure that you still get that feel on those marketplaces?
Yeah, we do this, and as well try to work with templates and stuff like this, so that it's convenient for our partners to advertise. And as I said before, we are now in the driver's seat. Before, it was a complete mess. It was chaos, as we have seen as well in other charts outside, because everybody did it in his own way. So this is just 5 years ago, so it probably needs another 5 or 10 years to be unique and everywhere visible.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's to think that you've been able to do all of this in the last 5 years is pretty powerful stuff. Yeah. And so as we then kind of shift gears in your customer journey, let's talk about after buying, because we've talked about the routes to market, we've talked about how to engage and awareness, but after you've actually got them to kind of purchase the products, how are you thinking about continuing to maintain that brand feel as well?
This definitely needs engagement because, I mean, there are stories where people buy a Wüsthof knife and it keeps for generations. I mean, you have a very famous watch brand which says it's for the next generation, basically. I'm only carrying it for the time I live. But this happens to knives as well. So it's you get the most valuable thing is if your grandpa gives you his knife. I mean, this is a very special moment, and you treat it very well. So what we have to do is to build relationships in terms of keep it sharp. I mean, build up a concierge service, do gifting, do personalization, everything what you can do to enhance this, and tell people as well, yes, you're happy maybe with one chef's knife, but there are special knives on blades you can do. So this we have to bring closer to the people. So you have a special blades for fish. You have cheese knives. Why is not a veggie knife existing so far? I mean, veggie trend is all over, but probably you never heard about a veggie knife so far. So we have it. You can buy it at Wüsthof. But this is something really you have to teach people and announce this.
Yeah, and you're powering that. I mean, we can see here on the screen with some pretty powerful packaging and investing in that area, as well as leaflets. And we talked a little bit about print as a channel for you, but I imagine that's something that you also need to kind of keep up with over time.
Yeah. So the print export is also important for us. So one channel, and which is also in need because, as we talked about, we're having the good relation to our B2B customers. They also need to have information. So what we came up now is a B2B catalog with EAN codes so that the customers can scan the EAN code and import the data into their systems or find the different kind of products in their store and work directly with this, as we call it, the work folder. And this is completely built by Akeneo data and Tessa data. Oh. So when you come up with the perfect templates in InDesign, that it's filled half automatically. I say half because there are some content sites inside which need to be designed, of course, to have a much more design effect and more better looking effect and more selling. But the key facts and all informations, they are coming from the Akeneo system, and they are all in all channels. They are all the same.
And I think it's very important to keep in mind, especially maybe not only in our business, but you are at the top edge of technology. We still have customers who write orders on papers and give it over to the sales rep. So EDI, they have no idea what it is. It is a space shuttle or what is this? So this is something probably you have in a lot of other businesses as well. So coming around and say digital only doesn't work. So we needed something as well for automatization to have print by demand. This is very important. And maybe individualize this because they have a different portfolio and different prices, different languages and all the rest. So in the end, for Björn, always with my demands, it gets always a nightmare. So this is something which is to keep him the next 25 years at Wüsthof as well. So he has enough to do with this. Because the market lags with this, and I can see it as well in our company, the user base, the sales reps, customer service. I mean, you are all familiar with this, but we have to be very careful not to lose them. It has to be as easy they're ordering with Amazon and be part of their daily life. And we are far away at Wüsthof at this stage. So he's the subject matter expert, but all the rest, they aren't.
And about how many people, I know you said the team expanded from 2 to 30, about how many people are working in Akeneo PIM?
So we're having different kind of roles. So I expect that everybody knows it here, that we have a workflow so that it's first starting in our ERP system. There, the first informations technically are collected, and then they are sent over by the interface, and then the product is also created in Akeneo. And afterwards, in the process, then the product managers starting, and as well the content managers are starting with the work inside of Akeneo in the different kind of attributes they are responsible for. So I think this is also important to have a very good documentation on who's responsible for, so that everybody knows, okay, those are my attributes and my responsibilities. So as well, there we're having also the single point of truth in the people, and yeah.
Excellent. So a single source of truth to think about at every stage of the buying journey, what type of information is needed, how to be the best B2B partner, whether they're embracing digital the way that you all have, or they're still writing orders on paper to be able to scale and meet those requirements no matter what. Huh? So you both, I want to pick your brains a little bit more for the people in the room, is there's so much to say. You know, what is advice that you might have when it comes to, you know, thinking bigger, thinking about these different channels, Artmut, like that you've learned as you've been really embracing this modern strategy at Wüsthof?
Okay, I try to make it as easy as possible for us, because again, this is would be time-filling to talk about it, but it's definitely three things which are important: consistency, continuity, difficult word, and creativity. But creativity, I think you had the feeling already, and we have seen a lot of things as well at Akeneo now, which is creative and will come up in 2023 and the years beyond. But continuity is important, that it has to be always top quality. The same like we survived 207 years with top quality products, the data has to be as well top quality. And if you make sacrifices on this, it will fall back on your feet at one time, very, very quickly. And then it's not usable anymore. And this takes time. It's very hard for a lot of people as well in the company to understand, and resources. And continuity is really to not to do digital only, really to keep the balance between traditional and future. This is very important to keep this in mind in our business, and I think it's as well healthy for people to cope with, because otherwise all your subject experts, you're somewhere else and on a different planet, and the users, they don't use it. I mean, they're still to stick to Excel papers and stuff like this, and like photocopying and everything. So it's very important to see as well, to involve them, and we try to do this with key user groups, but to make them as well as clever as Björn is handling the system.
Excellent. That's great advice. And Björn, of course, change management is something I'm hearing you talk about. What advice do you have for people in the room as they're going through that process? Maybe user groups, things like that.
So as Hartmut said, we are working with key users. So our sales teams, they are using the data as well, so as the customer service departments. So it's necessary to have a good training for them, and with good training material that they can always come back and have a look, okay, how does it work? How can I come up with an export which my customer needs at the moment, so that they can pick the data they need for the moment. As well, when they are creating charts about products, it's also helpful to know, okay, I can come up with the data from Akeneo and bring up more data in my presentation. It's also important. And as well as for the customers outside, our B2B customers, it's also important to have trainings for them. So we will now release a portal for the assets from Tessa, so that our customers can download by themselves the data from there, so different kind of assets, or they can download a compiled collection of assets as we saw here, the new collection with color handles, then they can have the complete package of assets for this new series collection.
Awesome. So empowering both your internal users and it sounds like some external users to be able to get the information that you need, that they need to be able to sell your products effectively and market them effectively without, based on that source of truth.
And maybe rename it, not using it key users, because this sounds again too technical. There should be fans, a fan community, like people run to the football game or they like to wear MS scarves and stuff like this. So you really need to make fans out of them. So that they make their life easier, that that fulfills their needs, and they do it on a daily basis. At the moment, and this is the problem always with change, we are always afraid of something going to change. Akeneo is a change in our company, and again, this has to be managed with the same detail like we changed our behavior from B2B and being a factory and now being a brand and selling D2C.
Wow. We are in a room full of Akeneo fans, I hope. And now we're in a room of Wüsthof fans, I think, too. I know where I'm getting my next knife. So thank you both. We're coming on the end of our time, but please, if you have more questions for them about how they've been embracing omnichannel, and at such a rapid pace, really future-proofing Wüsthof for the next 200 years, don't hesitate to find you both. And thank you so much for joining us today. A round of applause for Bjorn and Hartmut.
Thank you.
Awesome.